Hello, my name is Mia Motter.
Hello, my name is David Martinez.
Hello, my name is Mariah Harris.
Hello everyone, my name is Christopher Vivas.
Hello, my name is Zachary Shea, and this is our presentation on Book Finder. Now, what Book Finder is, it is our website that we have for the completion of Capstone 2, and it is centered around authors or people who want to find books or read books wherever they want completely for free just by having to sign up onto our website. Now, essentially, our website is making sure that everybody is able to go ahead and not worry about constantly buying new books, constantly having to worry about promoting things, constantly worrying about to have to pay a lot of money for having their book published. So this is a very easy and efficient way for authors and readers to also enjoy anything and everything to their heart's desire. So as for the problem, there are many issues when it comes to publishing books, short stories, literary works, poems, literally any type of novel out there. It can be really expensive, time consuming, and honestly kind of complicated when it comes to learning how to actually publicize that book and also announce the book's release and everything. I personally am an author. I've actually published 2 of my very own books on different platforms, and it has cost a lot of money and is very time consuming to figure out and learn everything you need to be able to actually promote and publish those books. So as an author, it is really helpful to have a website like this where I can just go ahead, get my book, and maybe soft launch it on here before I go ahead and actually make an actual production for it if I find a good leading for it. If I don't, I can honestly just leave it onto the website and let people enjoy it for free and read it for free. So what I've personally learned is that it's pretty difficult for new authors to be discovered by the world, and it can honestly result in their books receiving very little to no attention, which in turn results into authors not wanting to publish as much. This has personally happened to me where my first book didn't really get a lot of attention, which resulted in me not wanting to write a lot, which resulted in me writing my second book a lot slower. So this can affect many different people in many different ways, and this is one of the biggest problems when it comes to publishing books and writing books. And additionally, readers who just want to enjoy the imagination of humanity need to be constantly paying for works of art at different places like Barnes and Noble, libraries, and all that to ensure that they have enough things to catch up for their brain so that they can constantly read. Yes, there are a lot of articles online. Yes, there are a lot of things that they can read online. However, it is not the literary works that they are looking for, and it might not allow them to spread their mind how they want to. And finally, there is also a lack of a centralized free platform for readers and writers to be able to actually write and do whatever they want. Now, there are different places like Goodreads to rate and review books, but it is not a place that you can actually write your own books on and publish them however you want. There are many different websites for people to be able to go and publish and write their own books as well. However, they all locked and gatekept behind different forms of transactions. For example, web comics is constantly being used as an example. However, that is more for comics, and additionally also you have to pay a lot of money in order to constantly be looking at books and reading books. So essentially the solution to create and fix that problem. So the solution to that problem is Bookfinder. Bookfinder is a free reading and publishing platform website designed to make literature accessible to everybody. So if anybody wanted to go ahead and just read any poems or go ahead and read any books or anything like that, they're able to go onto the website and be able to read anything and everything that they wish, as long as they are able to create an email to ensure that they are in our database. And it gains access to free infinite books, novels, poems, literary works, and everything else as well. And it actually, something that we do include on our website is the ability to go ahead and read the first chapter of anything completely for free. So that way you don't have to worry about signing up if you don't want to, unless you are absolutely interested in a specific book that you want to go and continue reading. And it was developed in a way that is both comfortable for authors and readers to enjoy, and it allows a lot of freedom for the publishing and reading world where they don't have to worry about paying money, and authors are also able to go ahead and publish however they like without ever worrying about audiences not enjoying their books or audiences not being able to find their books because of the constant refreshments of announcing books and new ideas that people make. And our goal finally was to create a space where everybody can enjoy, discover, and publish their books and ideas without any limitations, which is one of the biggest factors when it comes to people not wanting to write their books or not wanting to write their ideas.
I'll be explaining the system architecture as well as the search system for our Bookfinder application. Our application follows a full stack layered architecture consisting of a front end, a back end, and a database layer. Starting with the front end, we built it using plain HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and hosted it on GitHub. This layer is responsible for handling the user interface and sending HTTPS requests to the backend based on user actions. Moving on to backend, we use Spring Boot to build a RESTful API. The backend follows a modular and layer design, where each feature is organized into its own module. In our case, we separated modules by book, user, series, chapter, and so on. Within each module, we structured the code using entities, repositories, services, controllers, and DTOs. This structure aligns with the standard layer architecture, where controllers handle incoming HTTPS requests, services contain the business logic, repositories manage database interactions, and entities represent the data models. For data storage, we use PostgreSQL to manage structured data and metadata, such as users, series, and relationships between entities. For handling files like chapter content, series images, and book cover images, we use AWS S3 as our object storage solution. To securely manage file uploads and downloads, we implemented pre-signed URLs. When a user wants to upload or access a file, the frontend first makes a request to the backend. The backend then generates a pre-signed URL and returns it to the client. This pre-signed URL is a temporary secure link that allows the client to upload or download a specific file directly from AWS S3 without exposing our credentials. These URLs include cryptographic signature and expire after a short period of time, ensuring secure access. Because of this, all file transfers happen directly between the client and AWS S3 rather than going through our backend. This reduces server load, improves performance, and allows the system to scale more efficiently. For security, we implemented authentication using Spring Security. We use JWT tokens to handle user sessions in a stateless way, meaning the client includes a token with each request to verify identity. Passwords are securely stored using hashing with bcrypt, along with a 256-bit encryption strategy, ensuring that sensitive user data is protected. Along with authentication, we implemented authorization controls to ensure the user can only create, edit, and delete their own content. While authentication verifies who the user is, authorization defines what the user is allowed to do within the system. Since we're using JWT-based authentication with Spring Security, every request includes a token that identifies the currently logged-in user. This user identity is extracted from the security context and used throughout the backend to enforce access rules. To enforce ownership, we associate every book, chapter, and series resource in the system with the user who created it. This creates a direct relationship between a user and their content at the database level. When a user attempts to update or delete a resource, the backend first retrieves the authenticated user from the JWT token. Then we compare the user ID and the token with the owner ID stored in the resource. If the IDs match, great, the operation is allowed to proceed. If they don't match, the request is rejected with the unauthorized or forbidden response. This logic ensures that users cannot access or modify resources that do not belong to them, even if they try to manipulate request parameters. We apply this ownership validation in the service layer to keep the controller clean and maintain a clean separation of concerns. This also ensures that authorization logic is centralized and reusable across different endpoints. In addition to ownership checks, we also rely on Spring Security's role-based authorization features to further protect endpoints when needed. Overall, this design combines JWT-based authentication with strict ownership validation to ensure secure and controlled access to user-generated content across the system. Moving on to our search system, we implemented a flexible and dynamic search system for books using Spring Data JPA specifications. The goal of this feature is to allow users to filter and search books based on multiple optional criteria, without needing to create separate hard-coded queries for every possible combination. To achieve this, we structured our search logic using the specification pattern provided by Spring Data JPA. Each filter condition is implemented as an independent reusable specification method inside our book specifications class. So for example, we have specifications for filtering by publication status, keyword search, genres, hashtags, series, and user-related filters. Each method returns a conditional predicate that is only applied if the input parameter is provided. So if a filter is null or empty, it's ignored, and this allows us to dynamically build queries at runtime based on user input. For text-based search, we implemented keyword matching across both the book title and summary fields using case-insensitive like queries. For relational data, such as genres and hashtags, we use join operations with distinct results to avoid duplicate entries when multiple relationships match. We also support filtering by series and user, giving users multiple ways to refine their search. This design allows us to combine all filters together dynamically using AND logic through the specification API, resulting in a single query that adapts to the user's inputs. From an architectural standpoint, this approach keeps the controller and service layers clean, since all query logic is isolated inside the specification class. It also improves scalability because adding new filters in the future only require adding new specification methods without modifying existing query logic. So overall, this implementation provides a powerful, modular, and maintainable search system that supports complex filtering while keeping the codebase clean and extensible.
For this part of the presentation, I will be going over some of the key features of Bookfinder and what users are actually able to do on the platform. At its core, Bookfinder was designed to give both readers and writers more freedom. Instead of only focusing on one side, we wanted to create a space where people can not only discover books, but also create, share, and personalize their own literary work in a simple and accessible way. One of the main features of our website is the ability to upload and publish books. This is especially important for independent authors because it gives them a way to share their work without needing a traditional publisher or a complicated publishing process. A user can create a book, add important information such as the title, description, genre, and tags, and then build that book chapter by chapter. This makes the platform more than just a place to read. It is also a place to create. Another major feature is the ability to write reviews and rate books. This helps build interaction between readers and authors. Readers are not only consuming content, but also participating in the platform by sharing feedbacks and opinions. That adds a social element to the experience and helps other users decide what they may want to read next. We also included the ability to create user accounts and custom profiles. This makes the experience feel more personal. Instead of having a generic platform where everyone looks the same, users can have their own presence. Authors can build an identity around the books they publish, and readers can have their own account experience as they browse, read, and interact with the platform. And another very important feature is the search and filtering system. We wanted users to be able to find books in a way that feels quick and intuitive. Instead of scrolling endlessly, they can search by titles, authors, and other criteria, and narrow down results more efficiently. This is important because as a platform grows, discoverability becomes one of the most valuable parts of the user experience. We also focused on creating a clean and structured layout. We wanted movement through the website to feel simple and natural. Whether the user is logging in, browsing books, opening a profile, reading a chapter, or creating their own content, the goal was to make navigation feel smooth instead of overwhelming. A platform like this has many possible actions, so keeping the design organized was very important to us. Finally, we added simple inputs and a hashtag system, which helped make books feel more customizable and unique. Authors are able to describe and organize their work more clearly, and that gives them more flexibility in how they present their stories. It also makes the platform more fun to use because users can better express their style, identity, and themes of their books. So, overall, the main idea behind this feature is not just functionality by itself. It is about giving users tools that make the platform feel creative, interactive, customizable, and enjoyable, whether they are coming in as readers, writers, or both. Now, I want to give a brief overview of how these features appear in the actual website and what the user experience looks like in practice. To begin with, we have the login page. This is the entry point into the platform for registered users. We wanted this part to be simple and easy to understand because it is one of the first interactions a user has with the website. A clean login experience helps make the site feel accessible right away. Once the user logs in, they are taken into the dashboard. This page helps organize the user's activity in one place. For example, it can show books the user is currently reading, books they have published, and suggestions for what to explore next. This is useful because it gives the user a central place to continue their experience instead of starting over every time they return to the website. For readers, this makes it easier to pick up where they left off. for authors, it provides a quick view of their work and activity on the platform. Another important part of the website is the book detail page. Here, users can see the cover, title, author, metadata, description, and the table of contents. This page is important because it gives readers context before they start reading. They can understand what the book is about, view its chapters, and also see reviews information. This same area also reflects the customization aspect of the platform. Authors are able to make their books feel distinct by adding details that define the story, such as the description, the tags, and the categories. So this page is not only functional, it also helps give each book its own identity. We also included a review and rating section, which support interaction between users. Reading can leave feedback, and that helps create more engagement on the platform. It gives the authors a way to receive response to their work, while also helping other readers evaluate books before opening them. From there, the user can move into the reading view, where the user's actual chapter content is displayed. This is one of the most important parts of the project, because this is where the reading experience happens directly. We wanted the reading area to be clean and readable, so the user can focus on the content itself without unnecessary distractions. That supports the overall purpose of Bookfinder, giving users a free and accessible place to enjoy literature in a comfortable way. We also show browsing sections like genre categories and discovery areas. This helps users find books based on interest instead of only searching by name. For example, someone might want to explore fantasy, romance, horror, or science fiction, and this section makes that process easier and more visual. That ties back to one of our key goals, which was making discovery feel intuitive. We did not want users to feel limited to one method of finding content. On the author side, we also have the ability to start writing and building a story directly through the website. This is one of the strongest parts of the platform because it shows that Bookfinder is not just for consuming books, it also supports creations. Authors can begin building their own work, organize chapters, and prepare their content for publication. This is where customization and uniqueness really stand out. Different authors can create completely different kind of books, present them in their own way, and make their profiles and stories feel distinct. So overall, these demonstrations show how the features from the previous slide are not just ideas on papers. They are reflected throughout the actual user experience, from logging in to discovering books to reading, review, and even publishing original content. Bookfinder was built to make the experience feel simple, creative, and open to both readers and writers. And this screen gives a clear view of how that visions come together in the final product.
So I'm going to be explaining how we tested our website and made sure everything runs correctly. During the development process, we didn't just build the website and leave it, we consistently tested every feature along the way. This included checking that users could successfully add books, edit information, and navigate between pages without any errors or delays. We also tested how the website looked and functioned on different screen sizes to make sure it stayed consistent and user-friendly. Making sure everything loaded properly and quickly was another important part of our testing process. Whenever we discovered a bug or something that didn't work as well as we expected, we made it a priority to fix it right away by addressing issues immediately. We were able to prevent them from affecting other parts of the website and keeping everything running smoothly. The images shown on this slide represents examples of our testing processes. These screenshots show how we checked different sections of the website, made adjustments, and confirmed that each feature worked correctly. This helped us ensure that users would have a reliable and seamless experience using our site. Overall, testing was a continuous process and it played a big role in helping us improve the performance and quality of our project. So I'm going to be moving on to the next slide, and for this slide we're focusing on the customization and flexibility of the website. Even though there isn't much text here, the images demonstrate how different book entries can look. Each book can have its own unique cover, title, and information, which shows how adaptable the system is. This allows users to personalize their experience and manage a variety of books without everything looking the same. It also makes the website more visually engaging since users can clearly see differences between entries. You can also notice that the layout stays consistent while still allowing for these variations, which helps with the design and which helps keep the design clean and organized. Overall, this slide highlights how our website supports customization while still maintaining a simple and easy-to-use interface. It's a continuation of the previous slide, showing how the features we tested can be applied in different ways.
Now let's discuss some of the challenges we faced as a team and what we learned from them. This project was definitely a learning experience for the entire team, as it was one of the first times some of us had created a website that was fully functional and hosted on the internet. We initially tested the app locally at first, with each of us needing to run the database locally on our machines with Docker. However, this caused an issue that since the database was running locally, any changes a team member made, such as adding a book or an account, would not be reflected on your own database. As a result, we wanted a way to ensure the website has one centralized database that holds all the information on the site. And we eventually wanted to deploy our website on the web for the public to view anyways. Accomplishing this was no easy feat, as a lot of our backend did not function when the website was deployed with GitHub pages. As a result, we had to split the repository into two separate ones, one for the backend and one for the front end. We learned how to use frameworks such as Railway to help host our SQL database on the web, and we also learned how to properly call the backend API from the front-end pages. One of our next challenges, as stated here, was designing a user interface that looked good, but was also intuitive to use. This was way more challenging than we initially thought. We looked at competitor websites like Goodreads for inspiration on what to improve on the look and feel of this kind of website. We wanted to make things easily accessible, so that's why the navigation bar has links to all the pages you could possibly need to access on the website. We had to iterate a lot on our page design and what pages to include in the final product, as well as the naming scheme. Initially, we had the My Books page named as the dashboard page, but we renamed it to My Books to hopefully make it easier for users to understand what the page contains. Next, we had to think about how the website would look different from a registered user to a guest user. Initially, guest users were able to create and rate books while not even being logged in. This caused us to rethink which users have what permissions on the site. We made sure to differentiate what features require an account and what features are open to non-registered users. We needed to constantly test different user views to ensure the permissions actually functioned correctly. For example, there was a bug where a guest user was able to create a book and even some chapters without being logged in. Overall, this project on the surface seemed relatively simple, but it introduced a lot of unforeseen issues we would have to deal with. Designing an appealing and functional layout, actually hosting our site, dealing with authentication and user permissions, as well as constantly needing to test our features to ensure that they worked. It was certainly a challenging but rewarding project. Finally, let's go over the feature implementations we could add to this website, as the basic functions are in place, but there's a lot more we could add. First, we could ensure that each page is responsive and viewable on mobile devices. This would make our website more accessible to even more users. We could even create a full mobile app. Additionally, although our site is a place where authors can upload their books for free, we wanted to add paid elements in the future, so the author would have the first few chapters of their book be free, but the later chapters would be locked behind a one-time payment of the book. This would incentivize more authors to publish their books on our website, and this would also draw in more readers, as they're able to try out a book first to see if they enjoy it before buying the full thing. Next, we could implement community features such as a forum where users can create threads and discuss writing and books on the site. The site could even hold writing contests to encourage new users to submit books. We were also thinking about a comment section and a like or favorite system. This would be separate from the review feature that we've already implemented. It would allow users to comment casually on author profiles and on individual chapters of a book to express their thoughts. Additionally, we wanted to implement a recommendation feature. We were actually thinking about doing this initially, but we found it was more complicated than we thought. Basically, our idea was at the bottom of each book, there would be a list of similar books that the user could click on. Another social element we wanted to add was a friend system, where users can friend each other and be able to look at what each user is reading, their books that they've published, and also send messages to one another. This would go hand in hand with community features such as the forums. Finally, we would want to enhance the security as the site grows bigger. We would be doing some stress testing, such as adding a bunch of books and accounts, or a chapter with many pages and long text counts. This is to see if our website could handle large loads of data. Overall, this project has a lot of potential to grow into something much bigger than it is, and it is most certainly could be a real website one day for indie authors and reading enthusiasts.
And yeah, thank you so much for listening to this presentation. Thank you so much for having your interest in Bookfinder, and I hope that you have an amazing rest of your day.